Hello, and welcome to your practice. Today's intention is to focus on releasing tension from the psoas, which is often referred to as our fight and flight muscle in the body. In actuality, when we look at some of the research on the psoas, we learned that it's actually more connective tissue and that the psoas is deeply intertwined with other stress response systems throughout your entire body. So take a moment to arrive, perhaps palm to palm at your chest, connecting to your breath. And arriving might sometimes also involve just checking out your space, maybe looking side to side. Since our psoas is so responsive to stress, we can orient to our space as a way to really identify that it's safe to go inward and to relax. So eyes can be open or closed. This is really your practice. You get to listen to your body all the way through. Our first practice is an invitation to bring one hand over your heart and one over your belly. The hand over your belly is a guide to begin to breathe, sending your breath down into the diaphragm, the low lungs. And then the hand on your heart is a reminder that that breath can then begin to sequence up into the upper chest. Now you might notice that I'm beginning to move with my breath. So as you exhale, you might curl inward, really sending the breath out. And inhale, expand and stretch. Stretching across the belly and the diaphragm, and exhale, contracting those muscles back in. You might allow that movement to then sequence into your arms, expanding and contracting. Really feeling that reach, that opening, the chest and arms, the throat, and then coming back to midline. One more like that. Inhale. And exhale, this time giving yourself a hug, wrapping your hands around opposite shoulders, and then sweeping touch down from shoulders to hands. One more time, really feeling how that sensory contact with your skin can help you arrive. You can take that self-contact to the top of your head, to your face, back of your neck, around to your low back, and then sweeping down across your legs, from hips down to feet. And I'll invite a little bit more contact with the low body, a little grounding contact here. You can lift your right leg into your hands, maybe one hand holding your knee and one holding your foot. You might wrap both arms around a little more firmly, cradling your leg like a baby in your arms, just giving a little rock into your hip socket. And you get to make all of these shapes yours. You can even do this beginning practice sitting up on a pillow or even a chair. So finding the way that makes this accessible and comfortable for you. Bringing this to the other side, left leg lifts, a little rocking movement into your hip socket, connecting to breath. Love for the foot, ankle, and then lowering down. Now this time I'm going to switch back to that right side and I'm turning my right leg. So my right knee is by my left foot. And then with a hand on my hip and a hand on my heart, just beginning to rotate slightly to the left. And you can move in and out of this shape with the breath. There is quite a connection, again, that kind of fascial or connective tissue between the hips and the heart, the lungs. So allowing yourself to really feel that connection move through your body as you reach and then come back into center. And one more time, turning, reaching, lifting, and then resolving. And we'll switch this one out, taking that right leg back forward, and we're going to turn the left knee, turn the left leg. Left knee to the inside of the right foot. And then hand to your heart, hand to your hip, placing your right hand down behind you as you begin to find a little bit of a turning through your body. Inhale as you lift and reach. Exhale. And really letting the arm come into this action, connecting to your hip, heart, reach and lift. You might feel that opening in the throat. One more. And settling back down. And once again, coming back to your comfortable seated shape, tuning in before coming on to hands and knees into a tabletop shape. So our psoas muscles is kind of our instinctual muscles. So we're getting into cat and cow, and just let yourself find any organic movement. You can wiggle side to side or arch your spine, and then lift your head and tail. Just finding your way into that instinctual, sensation-based guide for your movements and breath, your rhythm, your body. Now, you could add on here. I'm adding on by lifting through my right leg and lowering, curling the right knee. Explore what that feels like for you. And then maybe we step that right foot forward. So when we're opening up through the psoas muscles, we really want to attend to the quadricep muscles and the hamstrings. They're all interconnected here. So as we lift into a lunge here, it's allowing yourself to notice what happens as you curl inward in this shape. As you curl your spine and then lift your spine, sending your breath down across the front of your left hip flexor. You have an option to lift your arms or not, right? Feeling your way in. And then we're going to descend into what I call that half squat, right? So we're going to keep that right leg lifted. I've turned a little bit so you can see I'm turning my right toes out to the side. And then we're going to find a way to kind of settle the hips back. And your hips might come just a few inches back. You might come all the way down on top of your left heel. Left toes can be tucked or untucked. This is about making it yours. And then if it's accessible, kind of crouching your body inside of that right leg to the inside and down. And then you can see I'm doing some kind of wiggles and undulation movements. We're just breathing into the inner right thigh. And then let's come on out back to tabletop. Just a free breath here. Finding your way out of that one-sided shape, and we will find our way on the other side. So you'll have that option this time to lift through the left leg. Inhaling as you lift, exhale, curl it in. Sometimes when we engage through that hip flexor, give it its full expression, then it's willing to release. So once again, we'll step the foot forward and we'll find a little psoas release as we lift up on this side, breathing into the front of the right hip flexor, that connection to heart, and then maybe hands on top of the left knee. Now, if this is uncomfortable on your right knee, you can always add some padding, right? So make this a practice that works for your body. And then lifting through your heart, your throat, maybe lifting your arms as you send your hips slightly forward. And you get to adapt and modify these shapes, find the depth that works in your body. And then we'll find our way to the inside of that left leg, turning the left toes out. And then you can stay lifted up here. You might begin to settle your hips down towards your right heel. Right toes might remain tucked. Maybe you untuck the right foot. So let's just find how your body wants to make this shape yours. And one side might be different from the other. That's really common, whether it's your knee or your hip that's tight. And all of those areas of joint tension can be related to some of that accumulated stress and fight-flight energy held in the psoas muscle. So we're just getting in there, breathing right into those tight places. And then, of course, we give it a break, right? Just let yourself integrate, come on out, back to table, a few breaths, just intuitive movements, finding some circular barrel rolls with my spine, and whatever works for you. When you are ready, I invite you to join me by coming all the way down onto your back and taking a moment to arrive in this new relationship to gravity. Knees are bent, soles of the feet on the floor, palms grounding down, and then we'll begin to find a little lift through the hips. So sometimes the psoas in the front of the body needs a little bit of action in the back body before the psoas is going to release. So we find that action here in this shape by pressing into the feet, lifting through the hips, and I want you to imagine that you're dragging your heels toward your shoulders so that you're creating a little hamstring curl in this shape. And it's allowing yourself to maybe hold this a little bit longer. You might find a classic variation of bridge by interlacing hands underneath your hips, rolling your shoulders under a little further. Continue to drag your heels back, engaging the back body, your gluteal muscles, your low back, softening through the front body, and then settling your hips back down. How does that feel now? What are you noticing? It's that internal awareness that creates change. And keeping your left foot grounded, I'll invite you to draw your right knee in towards your chest. This is a variation of half wind removing pose, lovely for your digestive system and also for the psoas. So you could stay here with that left leg bent or extend your left leg long. But if that creates too much of a pull or a grab in the hip flexor or the low back, then you can always keep that left knee bent. Now, a variation to this one is to bend the left knee, but this time take the left heel by your right buttock. Now, you can take a hold of your right knee and send your left arm up overhead. So you're creating this opening across the front of the left quadricep into the hip flexor. And we have a contraction in the right hip, right psoas, and an opening on the left. And our final shape on this side is a supine figure 4. So we cross the right ankle over the left thigh, grab hands around the back of the left thigh, and some intuitive rocking movements into your hips once again. Opening into the outer right hip this time, as well as the inner right leg line. We have some meridians across the legs, the gallbladder meridian and the liver meridian, and we're opening those so the body gets a chance to be supported in digesting your experiences, emotional experiences, life experiences. All right, let's take this to side 2, this time hugging into your left knee, right sole of the foot stays grounded or lengthens, taking your time to find your variation. Some rocking of the right leg. You might stay like that, or you might take that right heel towards the left buttock, taking a hold of your left knee with your left hand and the right arm up overhead. Once again, you're very likely going to notice an opening across the front of the right quadricep as you continue to compress the left psoas. Our bodies have these rich diagonal lines from which we both can hold tension but also release it. And we'll complement this with a supine figure 4, crossing left ankle over the right thigh, gentle rocking motions with your legs. Your sensations are always your guide. Any of these postures can be held longer. So this takes you through the sequence of a psoas release. But once you know it in your body, make it yours. All right, let's come into kind of hugging of both shins and then a happy baby. So I like Happy Baby holding on to my ankles instead of the bottoms of my feet. You can explore in your body what makes it yours. You can even drop your heels toward your buttocks or lift them up toward the ceiling. So you might reach one leg and then the other. But just like a young one exploring their world and how it feels to be in a body, this is your exploration, your opportunity to play a little bit. Once again, wrapping both knees in, arms around the shins. You can even tuck your nose in towards your shins. And then extending all the way down onto the earth for a final resting shape. So just a few moments in stillness to notice, to receive, to surrender any doings, any actions, to surrender the belief that you are not enough, that you don't have enough, so that you can fully receive the satisfaction of this moment. You can be nourished by this presence. Staying there longer, or if you're ready, slowly rolling to one side and pausing there. We have an opportunity to begin again as we slowly press back up to sitting. And take note of the changes. What has shifted, rearranged in your body, in your mind, in your heart in the course of this short practice? What did you bring with you onto the mat, and what is it that you're taking away with you into your world? Connecting to your heart and your breath. Thanking yourself for showing up today. Namaste.